Shalom, all praises to Yahweh, Ba'Shem Yahushua, Ba'Shem Harakakadash. Double honor to elder apostles of great most on the rule well. And Shalom to the brothers in the work, in truth. Yeah, got this article on AP News. It says what via corn, gore, and ultra violence, extremist groups are sinking hooks online into the very young. And I think this is just like one example kind of video to go to. Sorry, so like example article to go to. Talking about young. Really, they're talking about young men online, and I think a lot of the current wave of this being pushed is because of that TV show Adolescence that got made, where they're kind of having it where it's being used as a moral panic. It's being used to spark fear in like parents, teachers, and whatnot, people around young boys, because there's been a few kind of examples. There's been a lot of like YouTube videos of like teachers that quit, and then even just general teachers giving what's it called, giving testimonials or whatever of kids, and them being online into like Red Bull spaces and whatnot, repeating things that like Andrew Tate and all those they lot say, and this has been seen as a big issue. Um, and now, and the thing as well is it's kind of prying open the door for the thing is where it'll go to is regulation, legislation, laws being passed. Because there's what after his arrest, after his arrest, the boy's mother was stunned to discover that her 12-year-old had been learning how to kill and gorging on videos of decapitation and torture so gruesome they had made even hardened French court officials look away. The mother told criminal investigators that she thought her son had been playing video games and doing homework during hours he spent in his room. The child's descent into internet darkness, the internet's darkest recesses, started innocently enough, with online searches about Islam. After an aunt gave him a Quran as a gift, says the boy's lawyer. From there, more searching automated algorithms that steered users' online experiences. Yeah, and this is the big kind of dress here. It's like, oh, the algorithms, like, you go online, they just send algorithms which takes over, and it will just say, you know, essentially like the internet's too dangerous. It's too risky of a tool to just have open. And the thing with this is like this youth then was 12, and with he's obviously she should have been checking what the fuck he was doing, because yeah, if the guy can be on the internet, you can be looking at anything. It's like giving him like unrestrained access without checking or regulating, or even saying like, "Yo, be wary of X, Y, Z, and look, avoid these things." Then you don't know what the hell's going on. And that's a lot of, like, especially in the modern age, a lot of these issues that come with children, like you go to, okay, what are the parents doing as far as paying attention to what they used to, and they're just like, oh, I just thought his thingy is you know because you have that generation of what's called iPad children, where they basically had an iPad given to them to keep themselves occupied, so they'll be there watching was it Coco Melon or whatever the hell, zoned out of their brain. um and then they're not engaging, they're not really dealing with certain things, and it's if you go into, that's the thing, is they'll naturally know how to just browse the internet, interact with certain things, because you'll see they'll be it's I see parents where they'll have a youth, he'll be like 18 months, 24 months kind of region. Then they'll just give him the iPhone, then he's unlocking it, he's going to YouTube, he's browsing videos, because why, that shit's intuitive, and because they're just spending so much time with it, they get a feel for it, they get a knack for it. And it said, what? And the boy's curiosity ultimately led him to encrypted chats and ultraviolet propaganda pumped out by IS, militants, and other extremist groups that are worming their way via apps, video gaming, social media into the minds of the very young. So yeah, they're spreading it, and it's the social media aspect I think is the biggest one that's going to be pushed. Because even the UK with Facebook and Twitter, you had people getting arrested for what they've posted online, and Twitter's really been the big one they've tried to push. You need to sign up, you need to register to so when you post things online, it's tied to your real life identity. They can find your job, your what's it called, your address, your real name, um national insurance number, and all that will be tied in the system to the person. They're saying the government would have to store those details, and then different sites kind of just check with the government to be like, okay, yeah, it's all above board. But then with those things, they need a justification to really get through. Because even in the UK, we got digital ID cards coming in, and that's something that has been trying to push for like 20 years plus, man. For fucking ages they've been trying to get them in, and they ain't people have been resistant to it. But then with the moral panic about the boys are going online watching this stuff, okay, then people will be open to okay, let's restrict certain things. Because they say, what did they say, it was porn, ultra violence, gore, and all that shit is not even new. You've been able to access them things from even the fucking 80s, the 90s, and whatever. Like it's been like, from when you have internet access, you can access those things. But then obviously it's like parents would have, like before. I remember before it'd be like you'd have the family PC, and it'd be in like the in the living room, and then the kid will kind of have to be supervised. You can't really be doing too much. You can't be sitting there watching some dude getting his legs sawn off. when your mum's like watching fucking EastEnders right next to you. But now it's different. You can have a smartphone, you can have an iPad. They'll be in their room. They might be out with friends. They might be in the garden. They might be doing whatever, and then they can do. A lot of these parents ain't checking up. Going through and seeing, okay, what's in his history? What's he been looking at? What's he been dealing with? But then the government, that's the government's job. That's really what they're pushing it as. It says what Paul Edouard Laloys, the French prosecutor who secured the boy's conviction on 2 terror-related charges last August, says the thousands of images and other extreme content that the child viewed so warped his understanding of the world and of right and wrong that will take years and years of work to enable the kid to recover normal bearings. Okay. Okay. So what was it? Emerging global threat. So yeah. An emerging global threat across Europe and further afield. The picture is similar. Counter-terrorism agencies are grappling with a new generation of attackers, plotters, and acolytes of extremism who are younger than ever and are fed on ultra-violent and potentially radicalizing content, largely behind their screens, some appearing on police radars only when it's already too late, with a knife in hand as they're carrying out an attack. And yeah, they're making it like, this is something that's just completely baked into society over time at this point, where it's so prevalent that you really need to be that wary. There needs to be significant action taken. Despite it's really not, especially considering how widespread these things have been and still have been the same kind of thing when they say like, you know, violent movies, violent video games, etc. It's like the scale which those things are out. It's not like a significant number of people are being like they'll watch um what's it, the Pulp Fiction, and then think, okay, let me go out and do X, Y, Z. You know, it's very few people that kind of do these things. But then, with like how, especially with how widespread and easy it is to access certain things on the internet, then, now you have where it's okay, we need to restrain this and restrict this. And that's something the elites have wanted for a while. Because I was thinking, okay, what's this? So a bit further down it says the so-called Five Eyes intelligence sharing network that usually shuns the limelight, comprising US, UK, Canadian, Australian, and New Zealand security agencies, is so alarmed that it took the unusual step in December of calling publicly for collective action, saying radicalized minors can pose the same credible threat as adults. So yeah, they're pushing heavily on this, and with, like I said, it's that TV show Adolescence is the big kind of focal point in the discussion now, because they say like they're basically in this. It's like with that is, you shank the girl. I ain't watched it, but I've been told like an overview. It's like a Ute shanks up a girl, and then it's kind of dealing with the fallout of saying like, oh, he's going on red pills watching this, and it made him hate women, and he's getting bullied and blah blah blah. There's all these things tied into it. But then, it's essentially a thing where it's like, it's dangerous online. There's going to need to be restrictions, restraints put on these things, so people can't just post what they want. Then all that just goes to, for me, is thinking, okay, yeah. So that's just then gonna spread to, the truth. They're gonna say, okay. Amos 8 and 11 says, behold, the days come, saith the Most High Power, that will send a famine in the land, not a famine of bread, not a thirst for water, but of hearing the words of the Lord Yahweh. So yeah, that's the truth, the fullness of it. With, as far as now, we can still, slam things up on YouTube, post things online and whatnot, and get viewed, get pulled and whatnot. But the time's gonna come where, access to these things is gonna cease to be. You're gonna be able to just go and see. Ain't gonna be, ain't gonna be countless live streams. Ain't gonna be videos going up. There's gonna be nothing. Because why? It's all gonna be locked down, and these are all like, keys, blocks, going towards, the finalized state of where everything's, looked down. They say, oh, we need to restrict on this because of one reason, restrict on that for another reason, and then before you know it, you just be like, okay, no, we're gonna have to. It's gonna be a rap, man. That's really where it's going. You can see with these little narratives they piece together, like the one about the show. It doesn't really matter what is really going on in real life. The shit is made the fuck up. They made that shit the fuck up into it's like for people to watch, I don't know, a fucking rom-com or something, and then say like, this rom-com that we just watched actually speaks about, huge glaring issues within society. We need to make political change and change the fabric of society because of what is in this rom-com movie. It's ridiculous because it's just a fantasy. The shit's made the fuck up. These situations they put in there is not some shit that actually happened. It's not based on a real story. It's not like, we're they're not dedicating it to Bessie because it was actually Bessie that got stabbed. Nah, because it's just a situation. And the thing is as well is the reality of how what most people are doing, like these youth them are doing online, is they're watching them things for entertainment. They might parrot some things they say, but they ain't, especially with red pill stuff. They're just enthralled because there's a dearth of masculinity in general society, and that's really the first kind of point of contention. But then even then, it's something they're just gonna use and then broaden the scope of when it's being applied, because that's how these laws work. You enter it in, and then you spread the scope of what counts within it. So this is what Revelation 12 and 12. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you having great wrath, because he knoweth that ye have but a short time. Yeah, coming down with great wrath. It's all gonna, get put in the chamber and executed on. Because why? The role, the desire of these situations, these incidents, these events being set up, where you're getting everyone worried about like, oh no, what these young men doing, is they're like, okay, they can build off it, and that's really what you see. To what? Let them do even more raw things, man. And people really get, and that's the thing as well, is like the more invested people are in the world, the more they'll kind of let slide, because they're just like, well, I just want, as long as I can continue, then kind of accept that. Okay, we can restrict on that, we can whatever. But then it's it's gonna get raw, it's gonna get real. And during that rawness, it's gonna be cold as all hell. But yeah, I'll leave it there. Shalom, shalom.